One of the great resources in a media thirsty world is the Chicago Tribune. The Chicago Tribune's archives in particular are an absolute history lesson. And Professor Kori Rumore joins us now. Yeah. She told us there'd be a quiz.
Well, are we going to get a field trip there someday?
I want to go.
Me too.
Were we talking about this last week? About we don't care if we get dirty.
Yeah, I'll get dirty.
Well,
I'll help you clean if we need to.
Oh, it's so dirty. It's so dirty when you have 148 years of historic stories, photos, all that. It gets dirty.
yeah.
Steve will probably rip one of the papers by accident.
That's
like
why
the oldest one.
I can't
Oops.
touch them. They're on those weird library wood handles, I'm sure, right? Remember those when the newspapers in the library would be on wood handles?
Oh, I love those. Yeah, those are the best.
And those handles were for the librarians to hit you if you made too much noise in the library.
It's super weird, though, because I think that the Vintage Tribune, it's still stacked up, just like papers have been. It starts from the very first one, and it's like this super tall stack, just like it is in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Totally. That's exactly how it's stored.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
We're staying local. What are you guys up to for Thanksgiving?
We'll have family over. We're hosting, which means I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, you're not even calling for takeout.
And it's way different than when we go somewhere else for Thanksgiving when I don't do anything. So
You're just being you.
completely useless. Yes, we have family coming over, which is obviously great. And Kori, you are hosting for 300, or you're going somewhere?
We're going to my sister's house.
Oh, that's right.
I think there will be 15 of us. So
Wow.
we're going to head up to Gurnee, which, thankfully it's not too long of a drive in the car. But the quiz today I have for you guys is actually, I thought, some people are going to take planes, trains, automobiles to get wherever they have to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured along those lines, you might not know this, but the nation's first organized automobile race took place right here in Chicago on Thanksgiving in 1895. So let's see what you know about it.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Okay, the race route was originally supposed to stretch to Milwaukee. So they'd be starting in Chicago, going to Milwaukee, coming back. What caused it to be shortened? Now remember, this is November. Was it A, snow, B, cows blocking the road, or C, nobody really wanted to go to Milwaukee anyway? What do you think?
She gave us a big clue right there.
I got it. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be snow, right?
Yeah, she said it's November.
Yeah, it's got to be
I
snow.
would like to blame it on the cows. Yes.
It had snowed 10 inches leading up to this race, in the days leading up to it. And back at this time, cars, they weren't even called cars. They were called horseless vehicles because that's essentially what it looked like. It looked like you had a coverless wagon that just kind of like piloted itself. So that's why it was shortened. They ended up going from Chicago to Evanston and back.
Well,
They shortened it to Evanston.
That's a harder route because if you know anything about Chicago, there's no way to get to Evanston. I mean, even today. Today.
How long did it take them? I mean, we drove there. You could take your bicycle up there, but then...
Well, I think a clue would be that there's a road in Chicago called Half Day Road because the assumption was it would take half a day to get there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Rudimentary vehicles. So you got it.
All right, we got one. What's number two?
Okay. Weather frightened. Okay, initially there's supposed to be like 80 to 90 people involved in this race. Because of the weather, a lot of people backed out. How many cars showed up that day? Was it A, 40, B, 21, or C, 7? What do you think?
I like 7.
I like 7.
It started with 80 and they ended up with 7.
I like 7.
7 hardy, overly competitive, mustachioed.
Yes. Perfectly dressed.
Yeah, those ones.
With
7.
top hats.
Yes, you guys got it. It's 7.
Oh.
And what were they vying for? What were they going to win?
$5,000, which, I mean, the BLS inflation calculator doesn't even go back that far. So I don't even know, like, what today's equivalent is. But that sounds to me like a ridiculous amount of money.
That's a bazillion dollars.
They could buy a mansion.
So, 7 people started it. Only 2 cars finished it. And the guys who finished it, the Durea brothers, it took them 10 hours.
Oh.
and 17 minutes to go 55 miles. Now, remember, this is uncovered. You're trying to drive. I think the thing goes 4 miles per hour at the fastest. So this was a big to-do.
Yeah, and
crazy.
do we know the name of the person that won?
Yeah, J. Frank, I think you pronounce it Durea, of Massachusetts, and then he and his brother would end up using the prize money to start Durea Motor Wagon Company. And so the next year they produced a car that was similar to the one that they'd used in the race, but the brothers had a falling out, so that's why we don't know any more about them today.
What happened to the other 5? Did they ever make it home?
They were lost.
I'm glad you're
They were
asking.
lost. They're never found.
That's exactly. In the Tribune, we say the other 5 were lost, wandering aimlessly about the streets of Chicago or lying wrecked in some gutter along the way.
You got as a terrific reporter yourself and a terrific writer, you got to love some of the prose that was used to write back in those days by reporters.
Totally. Okay, so this actually leads us into our third question. Who were the only people at the finish line when Durea crossed it? Was it A, the race's judges, B, reporters, or C, drunks? What do you think?
Oh, I hope it's drunks. Oh, I hope it's drunks.
Drunks.
I want it to be drunks.
Yeah.
Let's go with
I want it
drunks.
to be drunks, too, but it was reporters. There were 2 reporters. The judges didn't want to stick around. It was too
So
cold.
it was Rick Kogan and who else?
And the story about this race ends up on page 8 of the next day's Tribune because all anybody cared about was the big game. The big game back on November 28th, 1895, was University of Chicago versus University of Michigan football. And the first, 4 pages are dedicated to it.
Wow.
And Michigan won, in case you're wondering, because the NFL wouldn't even be founded until, 1920? So...
And George Halas wouldn't know that the Bears would continue to be an incredible suck-filled disappointment in 2023. Oh, boy.
Yeah, seriously.
As a matter of fact, Kori Rumore, we don't have time to do this now, but Kori Rumore did archival work too and found out the last time the Bears were believed to be winners was the week after George Halas founded the team.
It's true.
In the league. Yeah.
And it was only a belief, so...
And that's when fans had faith. No, it's the 85 Bears, you dummy. Kori, we love you. Thanks for doing this, and happy Thanksgiving.
Love you too. Happy Thanksgiving, friends.
There you go.
Kori. She's great.
She's human fun.
Yeah, I hope before she mashes the sweet potatoes, she washes her hands because they could get dusty.
Oh, yeah. And boy, sweet potatoes with printer ink. Not that tasty.